Alright guys, am I the only one that thinks this right here is one of the most beautiful game ever? Everything is absolutely stunning and feels better than real life. The environment, the monsters, the weapons, the movements, the effects, and how the arena becomes messy after the fights. Shadow Warrior 3 looks absolutely brutal, also colorful, fun, and I'm all up for it. In the new gameplay trailer that debuted at Devolver's annual showcase, Lo Wang, the main character, shows off some new moves and gear. He's now picked up wall running from Titanfall and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, as well as a versatile new grappling hook that can help him cross gaps or deal with enemies in fun new ways. To me, it is 100% the game I want to be playing when I just need to pass time here and there, and its new gameplay details definitely has me hyped even more, thanks to an article on PCGamesN.com. Shadow Warrior 3 is set to go back to a more traditional approach for player loadout, more suitable for single-player action-packed campaigns. Thus, it includes a more refined set of weapons and abilities, but each piece has its meaning within the combat space. Also, the upgrade system for acquired equipment goes back to a much simpler form than the last game. The developers didn't want it to be too complicated so that it does not draw players' focus from the action element of the game. It actually happens to me a lot when I play RPG games. There's just so much stuff that you need to do or upgrade, and it just bores me so much. Take for example Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It's absolutely full of stuff to do and upgrade, but at the same time it is full of nothing, not much heart in some of the quests. Shadow Warrior 3, as opposed to the past games in the series, is an evolution, especially when it comes to character movement. They really like what they have achieved with greater character mobility in Shadow Warrior 2, for example by adding aerial dashes, double jumps and wall climbing, which allowed them to build more vertical levels and bring the fight from the ground to rooftops. Shadow Warrior 3 totally expands movement options further by adding tons of different wall runs, some a bit more hidden than others, and a grappling hook in order to give the player the ultimate ninja experience. Melee combat, which is the most loved and was always an integral part of the franchise, also keeps evolving. They'll be talking more about this aspect of the game in the future, but it is worth noting that Lo Wang's katana has its own attack button, which is separate from the one that fires the guns, which allows for seamless blend between melee and ranged playstyles, something the developers were always searching in previous games, and they feel they finally nailed it. The true charm of Shadow Warrior lies in its focus on over-the-top action and a charismatic protagonist. So in order to focus on these elements, the developers decided to completely go back to the roots of the franchise and the roots of the studio. As they've clearly stated many times already, with Shadow Warrior 3, it is definitely inspired by Japanese culture and such, but they wanted to create a certain aesthetic with the world, so not everything will be truly Japanese inspired, just looking like it. Shadow Warrior 3 will also strip away the 4-player co-op of the past games, and also the procedurally generated levels and largeness of lethal weapons introduced by the previous games, in favor of a unique single-player experience and crafted levels that doesn't feel boring after a while. The studio feel more comfortable with this linear single-player campaign. They're better for the gameplay, they're better for the storyline, and they feel that's the kind of games we like to play as gamers. An intriguing inspiration for this shift that the developers said is Titanfall 2, saying we want to make a campaign where every minute counts. According to the developers, the Way to Motoko mission that you're seeing throughout this video will be one of the earlier levels in Shadow Warrior 3. An interesting feature is that every major enemy you kill, like the Oniyama Brute, the bizarre Slinky Jaku that constantly runs away while firing circular saws, or the Tri-Swords wielding Atari, will drop a special weapon that you can use for about a minute. The game is going to have multiple boss fights, and they will be greater than in any Shadow Warrior game before. Early in the game, players will unlock the Chi Blast, a pump strike working on close to medium distance, and a grappling hook that aids traversal throughout the levels and adds an extra dimension to the combat. The remaining equipment will be unlocked throughout the journey. The team's plan is to ensure all mandatory equipment, weapons, and abilities will be acquired during the first half of the campaign, with more focus on upgrading obtained weapons and abilities throughout the remaining hours of the journey. Shadow Warrior 3 will be going against some pretty hard competition, including another Devolver Digital project, which is another brutal fighting game, the latest installment in the Serious Sam series, whose bombastic violence and arsenal of enormous guns will help a similar itch from people. Then again, the latter series lacks the same freedom of motion and melee combat and phases that Flying Wild Hog, the developers of Shadow Warrior, has been fine-tuning, and a feature as seemingly simple as having a dedicated attack button for slashing and stabbing could give Lo Wang the edge he needs to succeed in the gaming industry. All in all, Shadow Warrior 3 looks super fun, and I'm definitely planning on playing it whenever it comes out. And make sure you guys let me know if you're excited too. Shadow Warrior 3 comes out on all major platforms sometimes in 2021. Drop a like on this video for more gaming news like this, and subscribe to stay tuned. Thanks to Themistocles, Pedro Oliveira, and Jigglyboy for being a master member on the channel. You can become a survivor member for 99 cents only. It'll support me and the channel as a whole. Thanks for watching.